Hello folks, this is the Savur with Only Gizmos, and in today's video we are going to take a look at the LG Optimus 3D Max, which is the successor of the LG Optimus 3D, which obviously, as the name suggests, is a 3D smartphone which does not require you to use 3D glasses in order to view the content in 3D. So let's go ahead and take a look at the device in detail. Right on the top you have the call speaker. Right next to it this is a secondary camera, which is a VGA camera. Right next to it are the proximity and the light sensor. Right below it you have got a 4.3-inch display, which unfortunately is the same as you had on the LG Optimus 3D. It has a resolution of 480 by 800 pixels, which is about 217 pixels per inch, and this obviously is a 3D LCD capacitive screen. Now taking a look at the left hand side of the device, you have the volume control buttons, and right below it you have the micro USB port, which also acts as the MHL port. Now taking a look at the bottom of the device, you have got the mic right here. Now moving on to the right hand side of the device, there's just a camera shutter key and the 3D shortcut button. It basically activates the 3D carousel. We will take a look at that later on. Now taking a look at the back of the device, you have got the 3D stereoscopic cameras here, which are nothing but two 5-megapixel cameras, which take when activated in 3D, these two cameras take images separately and those are combined to form the 3D image. That's how basically 3D works. Now taking a look at the bottom of the device, you have got the speakers right over here, and on the top you have got a 3.5mm audio jack for the earphones, and right next to it is the power button or the screen lock button. Now let's take a look at the inside of the device. It's quite easy to open the device this time with a dedicated marked slot here, where you just have to insert your fingernail and pull it up. So I'm just going to do that. Alright, so we've popped it open. Now you've got a 1520 mAh battery here. If you can see that, it's right here. There you go. So that is a 1520 mAh battery on the device, and this is the SIM slot and a slot for the external micro SD card. Well, the phone has an internal memory of 8 GB, of which only 5.3 GB is available for the users, and it also boasts of a 1 GB RAM, and it runs on Android Gingerbread, that is Android 2.3.6. Now unfortunately that's not a great thing. With a device being launched this late, you would have, with Jelly Bean already out, we would have expected it to at least have ICS and then planned Jelly Bean upgrade coming up. But as the situation is in the Android ecosystem, even this device just has Gingerbread for now. Now talking of the processors, it's got a dual core 1.2 GHz Cortex A9 processor along with the TI OMAP 4430 chipset. Now let us go ahead and take a look at the display of the device. Okay, before I speak about the display of the device, let me show you one interesting thing here. The display is actually sort of protruding out of the device, so it's like a separate display which has been stuck onto the phone. So the overall design as a result looks very complicated, and I personally sort of liked the design. I have no qualms with it, and the phone holds comfortably in the hand. It feels a bit rugged as well. But I must mention at the same time that the phone is very, very slippery. It just refuses to stay in your hand, so you better be careful when you're holding this device. And another strange thing that happened as soon as I looked at the device is that it instantly reminds me of the Samsung Galaxy S2. The design of the device is quite similar to the S2. Now we will take a look at the display here. So the display is not really great, but it's not bad either, and you would easily enjoy multimedia content on the device. You would have no qualms watching videos on it. Trust me, I have clicked a lot of photos using the device, and in fact we have watched a bit of movies as well on the device, and we did not have any problems with the viewing angles on the device. Though this is supposed to be a 3D smartphone, so let's talk about the 3D display of the device, which we didn't quite like because it has very narrow viewing angles. There's only a certain viewing possibility on this device. You have to look on the front. Let me just give you an image. I'm not really sure if the effect would be visible on the camera, but then there's only a particular angle that you can look at the image. Otherwise it sort of appears to be very blurred, and it's very difficult to adjust and stay focused at a particular angle, because this being a mobile device, you would tend to move it time and again in your hand, and it's really difficult for you to get optimum experience of 3D plus free 3D. But at the same time, I must appreciate that this is one of the few devices which gives you 3D experience on your smartphone, and that too without any 3D glasses. So the display is not really as good as the Super AMOLED displays, but it has good contrast ratios, and the brightness is good enough for legibility under the sun, and even when you're using it to view videos or images, it does the job. So we are quite satisfied with the display that we've got here. Now talking about the UI on the device, this thing sports gingerbread, and it has got LG's own customized skin over it, and it sort of appears like cube structures here, but it is not pleasing to the eye. But then it would have been great if we could view the same in 3D, but unfortunately LG has not made any options for you to view the menu or the home screens in 3D. So that's the negative point here. And taking a look at the options in the menu, well, basically we found the gingerbread to be working quite smooth. We played games, a lot of games like Temple Run. We've played Nova in 3D and 2D, and we've quite liked the way it functions very smoothly on the device without any lag or problem. It seems that the dual core CPU supports the device well, and the gingerbread OS as well. Now besides, let's talk about the 3D on the device. So long pressing the dedicated camera shutter key actually activates the 3D carousel on the Optimus 3D Max, which would allow you to view all the 3D content. So basically you can access YouTube videos in 3D, your gallery in 3D, shoot images in 3D. Basically there's also an interesting option of converting your videos and images, 2D videos and images, into 3D as well. So that's quite great. But then at the end of the day, as with any other software, it's kind of a hit and miss scenario, wherein if the images have any object quite close to the camera, the 3D experience is completely ruined. The same would be the case when you're trying to shoot images, but we'll talk about that later on. Now it also has an option to convert the apps from 3D to 2D. Oops, that's not the one. This is here. So we've actually tried converting a few apps, but then it's more of a miss than a hit. It's because the way these apps are created, obviously they were not made keeping the 3D factor in mind, but still we are happy that LG has attempted to convert these apps from 2D to 3D, but then for now I think they need to really work on the same to get this going. That would actually require for them to open their APIs to the other developers so that they can create the 2D apps in such a manner that once the software is used, it can be easily converted into 3D as well with proper 3D effects. Now we had no qualms playing 3D games on it. We quite liked the effect on Nova or Gulliver's Travel or even Asphalt, so we enjoyed these games. Now let's move on to the camera on the device. Now when shooting images in 2D, it's a breeze, there's no problem. The color rendition, the contrast and the color reproduction is quite good. We love the images that we were able to shoot with this camera, and also the videos, they looked absolutely as good as any other camera, 5 megapixel camera out there in the market. When it came to 3D, which is this phone all about, you had to take care especially to keep at least 2 feet of distance from objects from the camera so as to optimize the 3D experience. Otherwise, if you're clicking an image when you have an object quite close to the camera, the 3D experience is completely ruined and you wouldn't have that great 3D images, which would be just either blurred or they won't be 3D at all. Same thing goes for the videos as well, and we are quite satisfied with the way videos are shot with the camera. The 3D videos are very compact in size. They are not really huge videos, so as a result transferring them or even playing them on 3D TVs was great. The image resolution is also great. It's when you're shooting in 3D, the images are actually shot at 3 megapixel each, and they combine to give you a high quality 3D image. So basically the camera is as good as any 5 megapixel camera you have when you talk about 2D, and with 3D it's quite difficult to get 3D images. You have to keep in mind that you have to stay at least 2 feet away from the objects in order to get a proper 3D shot. Now let's talk about the battery on the device. It has a 1520 mAh battery. Now in our tests we actually used the device quite moderately for about 2 hours of watching videos and listening to music, surfing the net, and just about an hour on call, and you were easily able to get around 12 hours with this device. So for a moderate user, we would suggest that you would be easily able to get through your working day without needing to charge the device, but in case you are a power user, the device would last you anywhere between 8 to 10 hours. Overall, we quite liked the device, though the 3D Max is not quite what we expected in terms of 3D, but it's still getting there, and with absolutely no 3D content out there in the market, this is one of the best ways of generating your personal 3D content, and as such we love the initiative being taken by LG on the 3D front. And the device is available for 28,500 rupees in the market, and we would suggest you to buy this only in case you are a 3D enthusiast and you would be extensively using the 3D feature on this device. But at the same time, I would also like to inform you that it is quite difficult to view 3D videos on the device for long hours. You can possibly go ahead straight out at max 45 minutes, but after that you would be straining your eyes, so it would be a bit difficult to watch 3D videos or any 3D content, including apps and photos. So there was the LG Optimus 3D Max, which is available for 28,500 rupees in the market. You would be buying it only if you are a 3D fan, or else we would suggest you to take a look at the Samsung Galaxy S2. This was Tasavvur with Only Gizmos. Thank you so much.